Okay. Hey guys, it's Jessica with Pull Through Sites, and I'm sitting here with Corey with Windish RV. And we're going to talk a little bit today just about what he's seen this year in the RV industry, and also like what's to come, because we all know it's probably going to keep rolling for the next couple of years. So, Corey, I'll let you introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit about you and how long you've been in the RV business.
Okay, my name is Corey Shaw. I'm the general manager of all three Windish locations. I've been in the industry for 17 years, going on 18 now. And I've been with Windish for 14, going on my 15th year as well. So have a lot of fun times in the RV industry, you could say.
Yeah, for sure. So I know this is a family run business for about 50 years. Are you part of the family?
I'm not part of the family.
Okay.
We have Carolyn, who is our owner. Her father started the company about 60 years ago. She's been running it for a number of years, and then her daughter Whitney came in last year, and she's our VP now of operations, and kind of that succession plan to make sure that we stay as a family-owned business instead of going the corporate route.
Right. Very cool. So tell me one thing that you love, since you've been in this industry so long. What's one thing you love about it?
Well, on a personal note, it's being able to go out with my family and camp. I have two kids, and as many times as we can get out during the year, my wife and I and the girls go out. We have just a little 16-foot trailer, and that's really what the RV industry is all about. To me, is the family and having fun while you're out there. Obviously, 2020 has been an interesting year in the way of COVID and trying to find ways to socially distance. And RVing is it's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
So it's been great, and that's probably the most fun that I have with the RV industry. Yeah.
So you are an actual camper yourself.
I am one of the few probably in the industry who work in the industry and actually go out and camp. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's extremely important. It's so hard as a buyer to talk to somebody and they don't actually camp. They don't know what it's like to pull that rig on a Friday night and back it in and have to come home on Sunday, and I'm like, well, you don't really know what's going on. But for somebody like you're like, heck yeah, I know what it's like.
I know exactly what it's like. You have that great camping trip after you've gotten everything set up and you've been with your family and getting all that stuff done. Then you're coming home, and my number one favorite thing, not really, is dumping that black tank, which I don't even use really the restroom in our trailer. It's my girls. But daddy's the one that has to go take care of that mess.
Yeah. I had somebody ask me if I did it in our rig, and I said, I know how to do it if I'm in a bind, but no, I am not the one that does it. So we have a routine. I walk the dogs while he's dumping, so it wears them out, So, I mean, like somebody has to walk the dogs.
Absolutely.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, with so my wife does a lot of the pulling with the trailer.
Okay.
So people who are out there questioning if they can pull a trailer, yeah, pretty much anybody can. It's just a comfort level. But because I work in the industry and work on Saturdays, we'll go up on a Friday, I'll go meet them, then come back to work on Saturday and go back up camping. So the experiences that we've had as a family and my wife's been able to take care of while she's up there have been a huge side of things. But when we come back from camping, I'm the one pulling the trailer home, trying to find that dump site of wherever I can dump, because we don't do a lot of the campground camping.
Okay.
And I'll take one of my girls and we'll go, and they'll sit in the car reading a book while I'm out there dumping the trailer.
That's just the beauty of it. I mean, she pulled it up there.
Yeah. And we love the fact that both of us we're capable of doing it. It's just getting out there, getting used to it, and there will always be something that happens. So
do you find that is like one of the tips that you give people whenever they buy an RV, is to make sure that both drivers know how to do it?
Yeah, it's a good practice to have to make sure that if it is, and we get people who are single and camp, but if you have two people in the vehicle who can drive, to make sure that both people have the ability um, to pull that trailer.
Hmm.
It helps a lot when you get to a campground and you're backing into those spots. You have someone standing back behind the trailer, guiding in, and then the other person trying to figure out, oh, I've got my hand up here and I'm trying to back up this way, but I'm supposed to turn it that way, which can be confusing. But yeah, you're 100% correct. It's always good to have two people who can help take care of pulling the trailer.
That's one of the things. So we're on our second trailer now. That is when we bought our first one at the walkthrough. The guy looked straight at me. I mean, dead serious, and says, "You learn how to pull this." And I was like, "What? Okay, and I will." And he goes, "No, no, no, no. Day one, you learn how to pull this."
Yeah.
And then he tells this horrific story about camping and a guy that got hurt, and the wife's going, "I don't know what to do."
Yep.
And he goes, "I got her in the truck, got her pointed straight, and said, just pull this thing in the front yard and let him figure it out." And I'm
That's
like,
exactly right.
"Oh yeah, okay, I'll learn."
Yeah.
And you just, you go to a high school parking lot or some kind of big parking lot and you just figure it out.
Yeah.
And
Like, for example, we have here at our Lakewood location, just to the east of us, we have a large parking lot that we've recommended people before they get on the road, if they've never pulled, just to drive a couple circles over in there, just so they kind of get a feel for what's going on. We don't do a lot of the test pull side of things for people. There are occasions where we approve doing that, so they get a feel for it. But that's one thing in our industry too. That's not done like it is in the car industry, where you can go test drive these things. It doesn't happen, at least on the trailer fifth wheel side of things. Motorized a little bit different, but yeah, you're again correct. That would be a fantastic thing for them to be able to do before they leave.
yeah, and exactly like you said, it's kind of hit or miss. So like the first trailer we bought, we hooked it up and they took us on a pull.
Mhm.
The second one, the guy looked at us and goes, "The second you pull off the lot, it's yours." And we
Yep.
were like, "Okay, this was a big upgrade for us. Hopefully we can figure this out." We went from a travel trailer to a fifth wheel, and I was confident in my husband knowing how to pull things, but we had never pulled a fifth wheel.
Sure.
And I was not, I was just like, let me just figure this out. So that was a whole different experience. But so when buyers come to the lot, what would you say are like the common things or one or two common things that they are looking for? It could be this year, or if it's like over the years, it's always the same thing.
I'd say one thing, quality. We're fortunate here. We carry a lot of the higher end brands. We carry like Airstream,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Grand Design, Keystone, at any Forest River at any one of our three locations. So people really want to pay attention to the quality side of things. There's a lot of information now, especially because of COVID, that has come out virtually now. So
Mm-hmm.
when people come in, they're a little bit more educated than they used to be
Mm-hmm.
as they hit the door. But I would say quality is one thing that they're looking for. Two, they want to make sure that, and this is something that we pride ourselves on, is that our sales staff helps put them into the correct trailer for what their tow vehicle is.
Mm.
There's been countless times where we've had people come in that have a certain size vehicle that they think they can pull whatever they want. And it's our sales staff job to make sure that they're in what they can pull instead of what they want to pull
Yeah.
as they go.
I think that's great because that's always my first question when somebody comes to me and they're like, "I want to get a camper, but what should I get?" And I'm like, "What can you haul?"
Mhm.
And they're like, "Well, I don't know. Where do I find that?" I'm like, "Open the door of your truck.
Yeah.
Look at the sticker.
And
Let's
you
talk about
can,
what that means."
yeah, there's a lot of other resources too for that now. Like if you look at our website, we have tow guides directly on there, and you can
Mhm.
put in exactly what your car is, your tow vehicle is, and you can get what the tow rating is, be it a fifth wheel or a travel trailer, off of the website.
That's awesome. Very few dealers do that. And I know some dealers here that I know of, they're just like, "Here, take you said you wanted this, here's this. And it's like,
Yeah.
That's maxing out, and you see it going down the highway and you're like, whoa, that's squatting a lot.
All the time. It makes me cringe.
Oh, me too. Cause I'm like, whew, that's just an accident waiting to happen. When you already have somebody that may be a little more anxious about pulling, and then you're just like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So what are, so beyond just, considering what your vehicle will haul, what do you think is something else they should consider when thinking about buying a camper or before coming to the lot? What do people need to, I know they're much more educated. They probably come with their phone and they want to see these 5 and, that kind of thing. But are there things that you're like, hey, you should probably consider this?
I would say sleeping capacity, because obviously we're using these to go out camping. Make sure that there are enough beds in what they're looking at would be a big thing. Water capacities, again, would be something else that I would recommend for someone to think about when they're picking up a trailer. Reason for that is because if it depends on the type of camping you're doing. If you're doing all strictly campground camping where you have full hookups, doesn't matter. But if you're going to the off the beaten path, state campgrounds and stuff like that here that don't have water hookup, you got to be able to have enough to make it through that weekend or those 3 days that you go camping. So those things are big things that people may not always think about when they come in here, but it's certainly one to have on their radar as they go out.
Otherwise, you're filling coolers with a pump and you're trying to get it in.
Yep, hooking those tanks up into the filter, trying to dump it in. Yeah.
Oh, it's a mess. Well, honestly, it's not that big of a deal. We did a week-long trip. We do it in November. Well, it had gotten cold, and so they turned the water off at the park. And we were full, and then it was like, okay, we got to refill. And gravity didn't work so well on our rig. So we ran to town, got a pump, pumped it out of our cooler, and it worked.
It's another way to do it. And there's a lot of lines right now too that already have the reverse pump on them that will suck water into the freshwater tank.
Yeah, which is great, which is awesome. So obviously this year we've seen a boom. I'm sure you guys are crazy. What are your plans for next year? Because the way it looks, we're going to keep seeing another 15 to 20% increase.
That's what it's looking like right now. Us as a dealership, currently between our 3 stores, we probably already have roughly 200 orders that are in right now that are sold. Inventory right now is still very difficult for dealers to get across the country. There's been supply issues for the manufacturers and that type of thing. So like us here in Colorado, we normally have a show in January, which has been canceled due to COVID. Now, we as a dealership are going to be doing something like a show. We're doing some virtual side of things, and then also being able to set up our lot for spacing of people throughout our dealership so they can come in and take advantage of those same show deals that we would have done anyways, but get their unit on order before we hit that March, April timeframe. So hopefully we have the inventory in by then for those people.
Gotcha. Now, and that's what I've heard. Like, you need to order basically before kind of mid-January to get your RV early March.
Correct.
Is that
100%?
fair?
That's how it is right now. Yep.
Okay. And so what are you encouraging people to do while they wait?
Well, so we've kind of started it's kind of a program for our sales staff to make sure that they're communicating with the customer during that time frame. So our hope with doing that is keeping the customer engaged. Here in Colorado, and I forgot where you're located.
I'm in St. Louis.
Okay. Yeah. So here in Colorado, the campgrounds book up 6 months in advance within minutes of them opening them up. So at that time of year, in that January timeframe, if they're planning on going camping in the middle of the summer, they need to be on the website or calling the campgrounds immediately. So that's something else that they can get set up for the summer. So they have a place to actually go camping. That I would ask them to take a look at. Also, as you probably know, there's a lot of things that you continually get to take care of your RV. So we do a gift certificate to our parts department when you pick up from us to be able to get some of the odds and ends, sewer hose, freshwater hose, the adapters for power. So we have the parts departments to do that, but as they're waiting, they can also kind of get an idea of what they want so they can walk in and get everything completed at one time instead of coming in, doing the walkthrough, thinking about what they need, and then coming back at a later time or continually going through that process.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And you can always find, search your store. And then like, if you're like, I don't know if I need this, go ask
Yep.
you guys, ask, other campers and just, hey, look, I have a, I don't know what your gift card is, but like I have $200 to spend at the store. What do I need to buy? And it's like, here are the top 5 things that you can spend your gift card on.
We actually have that set up on our gift card of the most important things for you to leave us with your first camper.
Yeah.
It's all on a sheet for them. But a lot of people like yourself, you traded in, so you've got a lot of the normal necessities that first time camper does not have.
Yeah.
So they get to use that gift certificate on something else that they want after experiencing the stuff that they experience out there camping.
Yeah. For us, it would be an antenna. We've now knocked off 2. We definitely, the first time it happened, we were like, this is a manufacturer issue. This is ridiculous. And then the second time it happened, it's our neighbor's tree.
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet it's a tree.
Yeah. But it was one of those things where we were like, the first time we were like, we didn't hit anything. I don't know what you're talking about. And they're like, there's scratches on the roof. I mean, I was at the dealership on the roof of my RV looking, and he's like, you see those scratches? I'm like, let's look at the angle of it, like I didn't, but he's like, I don't know, we figured it out. And then when it happened again, it was like we were leaving on a Friday night. The windows were down. All of a sudden I catch this thing flying through my neighbor's yard, through the rear, the mirror. And I'm like, what was that? And we stopped and I go, oh my God, it's the antenna. And you just don't think of those things. Nope. And then you're like, okay, what do you need? But then you realize, like for us, do I really need TV? Just bring some movies, if we need it, we need it. We turn the radio on to get the weather,
Right. And again, I'm going to go back to the COVID side of things this year. I'm sure a lot of our kids these days, I know mine, have been on devices so much this year. One, if you want to keep them doing that while they're out camping, you can. A lot of the units now have the capability of doing internet connection to them. But like with us, we don't want them to have technology. Why they're out there. So we actually take that stuff all away from them. We're all out of the camper at 7 o'clock in the morning. We don't come back inside until 9 o'clock at night. Yeah. So there's 2 advantages there.
Yeah. And I've had people ask me, they're like, well, I have kids. What kind of, and I'm like, well, you need to decide, are your kids going to be inside or are your kids going to be outside?
Yeah.
And, and a young couple with 3 young kids and they're like, we want them outside. I said, then you don't need some of these other fancy, bells and whistles. I said, the most that I would say is to get that bathroom in the back with the second door.
Yeah.
That way they are just right to the bathroom and right back outside. Like
that's a good plan.
Running through the camper, because as soon as they run in the camper, it's like, oh, there's my iPad. There's this. Let me get distracted. It's like, nope, go right into the bathroom, come back out.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So what are there any other tips or advice that you would give RVers or anybody coming to look at the dealership, or just, next year, like thinking about camping, getting into this?
I would say we've seen a lot of first time campers this year. things that I would recommend them knowing are, service is hard for our industry. It's not like a car dealership where we have 15 different dealerships around us in a 3-block radius to be able to get parts from. We have to get those from manufacturers. There will typically be something while you're out camping that happens, and normally, and I'm speaking from personal experience, normally it's operator error with it, but it frustrates you so bad that you think that it's a problem with the trailer. It's just take a breath, figure out, my furnace isn't working. Did I turn the propane on? Those types of things. For the people who've never experienced a trailer or a motorhome, there's the things that you don't really think about for them. So going into this next year, I would give a tip to everybody in the way of inventory is still going to be difficult for all dealers across the country. The manufacturers are trying to catch up, but the supply chains are still down a little bit from where they need to be. And the sooner, if you're planning on camping next year, the sooner that you put your order in, or you're able to find that rare piece of inventory on a dealer's lot right now, it's probably better for you to do it. So that's just, again, it's just a tip. They don't have to take that advice, but it's something that we're definitely seeing this year.
And for you guys with 3 different locations, you kind of really, do you feel like you have a good amount of inventory?
No,
still low.
Yeah, so we normally sit between our 3 locations, roughly about 650 units on the ground at any given time.
Okay.
And right now, between our 3 stores, we sit on roughly 300.
Wow.
And that's new and used. So no, we're not where we would like to be for our customers to give them the ability to purchase. But we will get there. We had a point where we were sold out of everything.
Wow.
And we've been able to gain back some of our inventory and stock.
Are you seeing people that bought this year already selling and trading in?
There's some of that. We've had some who have bought small to begin with and took it out and really enjoyed it, and they've come back in to trade up into a bigger unit. We've had some of that happening. The other side of it, of people just trying to sell them or trade them back in for no reason, we haven't had a lot of that. No, not yet.
That's good.
Yeah, it's a fantastic thing. Now, next year, the following year, I'm sure that dealers as a whole will get an influx of trades, just based off of the numbers that the country did, after the COVID shutdowns in April and May.
Yeah, I've started to see a few online of like, hey, we didn't think we were going to use this as much. Oh, we're not, and I'm like, what questions could we have answered for you? From we've been camping for 13 years. I'm like, I could tell you, like you said, people trading up, that was us. We were in our rig for a year and a half, maybe. And it was a great little 27-foot Tracer Air. It was perfect, except when it was cold and rainy and we couldn't really go outside.
Right.
Then it got small real quick.
Sure.
We have a St. Bernard, and it's like, he took over the dinette, and I'm like, well, that's really our only place to sit.
Right.
So you realize, okay, this didn't work. And so now we're in a 41-foot Montana,
Okay.
So we really traded up.
Yeah. Nice coach.
Yeah. So, but we look at that and go, maybe if we would have bought something mid-range going in, maybe something like a 35-foot Cougar, or something like that, maybe we wouldn't have traded.
It's hard as a salesperson to try to push somebody to that. I mean, our guys they'll tell them, this is a small trailer. Just know with the amount of people that you're talking about having, you might be trading it in 5 months because you're going to love doing what you're doing, and you're not going to have the space inside for it.
Yeah.
So I've done the whole gamut. I've done fifth wheel. I've done a pop-up for about 4 hours. I did a Class A motorhome, and now we have a 22-foot travel trailer. So
yeah, we did the tent thing for years, and then finally bought the Tracer Air, and then moved up to the Montana. And we talk about we would go a little bit smaller. I don't know that we would. It's just
that's the hard one, is going back.
It's going back.
Yeah.
And we honestly have talked about getting a second camper.
Oh.
Well, I don't even know why we would do, like, it doesn't even really make sense.
It's for the short weekend trip.
Yeah, like he's like, I think we could just get a smaller one. And because I talk about, so I'm part of the RV Women's Association, and so we talk about traveling and doing different things, and he's like, you're not pulling this huge rig, and I'm like, well, I have a littler truck. I could just get a littler camper for just me, if I got to run to these little things. And I personally don't like to fly and stay in hotels and all that. So if I travel or anything like that, I'm like, can I just take the camper? I have all my own stuff. So,
well, which again, you bring that up. We're seeing a lot of that. Again, I hate to bring COVID up again, but that's, with everything that's happened with the pandemic this year, people aren't wanting to fly. And traveling the country has always been fantastic in an RV, and there's more people who are seeing it now and experiencing it. We have customers that leave here from Colorado, drive all the way up the northern border, all the way to the East Coast, all the way back down to Florida, to Texas, and back up through Arizona and to us.
Yeah.
So it's a fun way to travel.
And do you guys do any rentals?
We don't do rentals. We're strictly a sales dealership. It's just not something that we've really gotten into.
Yeah, I think it's tricky.
Yeah.
I think it can get, but what you do see, and what I have seen a lot this year, like you said, people that just want to get out and travel the country, you see a lot of bigger name people. I think of guys like, I don't know if you're familiar with like Jesse Itzler, he is married to the woman that started Spanx.
Oh, okay.
So, and they documented their whole trip in a rig that they rented, and it was hilarious because they had no idea what they were doing. But it's funny and it's comical, but yeah, they loaded up their 4 kids and they went. And I've known a lot of other people that have done the same thing. And they are experiencing, like, is this something I could do?
Yeah,
how do I make this work?
Yeah, there's a lot of it going on right now.
Awesome. Do you guys do any education or anything to kind of cultivate those people or bring them in?
So I have a great marketing person here, which you've spoken to, Des, and he's helped me create these videos that we've done for educational reasons on the floor plans, on walkthroughs and everything that we do. We're doing a segment as well on things that a first-time buyer won't know, like as easy as hooking a trailer up with a weight distribution hitch to hooking a fifth wheel hitch up.
Yep.
Now we go through that stuff when our customers are picking up from us, but for the average Joe who's just looking and seeing what this is all about, we're creating those types of videos for people to be able to see before they get into it.
Yeah, I think that's great, because then they can come with some knowledge. Then they know this type of, I always look at somebody, they'll roll in. I've been to a couple dealerships and they roll in with an F-250, and you're like, okay, they could haul a fifth wheel out of here, and he's like, they'll be like, I'm not comfortable with that. Okay. Yeah. Let's look at travel trailers then, So
that's exactly right.
I think that's great education pieces that you guys can put out there to say, look, this is what it takes. What are you comfortable with?
Right. I mean, that's, once you get over the fear of what you're doing as a new thing, it makes life easier. As I told you, my wife pulls our trailer and I've shown her how to hook up and unhook and do all of those things. And at the beginning, she was nervous about it. Um, with my experience in this industry, she likes to say that it seems like it's normal for me because I've been doing it for so long, but for her, it was more challenging.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where this piece of video and I guess education is coming from. It's just making sure that people know what you're getting into, know what you're going to do to make your family safe. So.
Yep. That's awesome. Well, Corey, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you taking couple minutes out and talking and the dealership and what's coming up. And I think you had some really great tips, and they're different. I talked to another dealership across the country and from you guys, and his tips were completely different than yours. And I'm like, this is great because this is also not things that I get from dealers here in St. Louis.
Sure.
So everybody's got kind of their own spin on it. And I
Yeah.
really love that you guys focus on education and like right at the beginning, making sure somebody's a responsible RV puller.
It's what we try to. And thank you for having me on.
Yeah. So, all right, y'all. I will include everything to their Instagram page and their website. And if you want to get in contact with Corey, you can do that by clicking below. And we will catch you guys next time.